I know that you are doing what you call fashion photography, and where every person you take pictures of are very lean and thin and tall and all that, and here bulky elephants. How do you correlate both? It's such a vast difference.
Hello and welcome to Chaibrary. I'm Georgina Maddox, a critic curator based in New Delhi, and we are doing a segment on photography as an art form. Today we have the honor of having Akash Das with us. Please welcome Akash ji. Lovely to have you in the studio. He is a wildlife photographer and a pioneer in the advertising world of photography. So Akash ji, I'm going to begin by inviting you to Chaibrary. Thank you so much for coming. And I will ask the first question by putting it out there. How did you get into photography? Let's go back in time and let's get to that moment where you sort of made your first, acquaintance with the camera in that sense. How did it happen?
Well, that is a very, very old story.
Yes.
And I was still very young then, and I was in college. I joined Delhi College of Art, which was like I was doing what you call fine art over there. So it was 5 years project, and first year you are always given a camera to do the photographic course over there.
Right.
It was not compulsory, but it was in lieu of some other subject you could choose photography. So I had chosen photography, and those days we didn't have any camera. I didn't have any cameras. Only there were 15 students, because it's a very, very exclusive college. Only 15 students is to be taken out of hundreds of students applying there.
Yeah.
Only 15 students were taken, and not everybody had a camera. So the college had a camera which was like Yashica 635, which you see like this from the top.
Okay.
They are twin lens cameras. So those were the cameras. But the problem was the teacher only told you how to operate the camera, but never gave you an opportunity to click it.
Oh.
And he said that end of the year you have to present 3 pictures, and you'll be given marks on it.
Oh.
So because and then you are going to the next year, so obviously it's very important for you. So my turn came. Everybody, there are 10 students who are doing this. Out of 15, 10 were doing photography. So some of them, 3 or 4 of them had their own cameras. So they would go out every day, and on the street they would shoot. I would see, I'll go out with them, and the subject was cow. So so everybody used to shoot, like in Delhi, all around there are cows, you see. So somebody is lying down on the floor and on the road and shooting the cow. Somebody is from the front, side, everything. So I said, how many? And what I did was, I took the camera last day. I said, I want to watch everyone, then I will do because how many ways you can shoot a cow?
Right.
Everybody has covered it. 10 people have covered, 9 people have covered in various angles,
Yeah.
So last day, the camera came to me, and I took the camera, and I went to, early morning, I went to Jama Masjid, and on the center of the road, some people were walking past over there, and I saw in the middle of the road, one of the gullies, there's a cow dung. So, and the cow is walking away, just it's a fresh cow dung, and a cow is walking away. So I lied down, I kept the camera on the ground, because it is the light was low. I didn't know about aperture and other things. Our teacher has told us that if this is it, then you do f/60th of a second, you shoot, open aperture, you shoot. So they had given me very basic this thing.
Theoretical knowledge.
So I put the camera there. I said, whatever it is, I shot one picture, the cow dung and the cow, and another picture I shot, slightly higher, and you have to, each time you have to roll. Forward the roll, okay. Then that was one picture. Because you are given only one roll, there are 12 pictures. So in a year, you have to present 3 pictures, and from the 12 pictures, how this thing, you are under pressure.
Yeah.
So I went ahead and I saw another cow. There is a, यहाँ पे देसी गाय का, यहाँ पे गाय का देसी, something like गाय का दूध का घी मिलता है यहाँ पे. And the cow came in, and I was waiting there, and I shot. I just got one shot, and next one was shaky. That I saw cow, and यहाँ पे गाय का दूध का घी मिलता है, ठीक है. So like that, I made 3 pictures. I came back, I developed them myself. They helped me, of course. Then made prints and presented. So everybody had already finished their course, so they had already presented. So I presented my 3 pictures, and Mr. Mahajan, who was a professor, and he looked at it and he said, "Are you joking?" I said, "Why, sir? Why am I joking?" He says, "Everybody has shot cow and have shot cow shit. This is shit. What have you done?" You know. So I said, "But sir, when you see the shit, you remember the cow, no? So there is a concept behind it. Okay, you come and meet me in my room." Because in front of other students I said this.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
I was fumbling, but I explained. I said, "Look, this is a conceptual shot. The cow and the ghee, you know, it's a part of
Right.
this thing, you
There's
know.
a story behind it.
Story behind it. It is conceptual shoot." So I couldn't explain like that then, you know, but I said there's a story behind it. So I got the highest mark.
Wow.
Called me to his room, he hugged me, and he said, "The only one who has shot concept."
Yeah.
So that was my first picture, and I never looked back. Of course, I did only 1 year in college. Then, of course,
Then when did you get your own camera? What was the
that's much later.
moment?
My own
Much
camera
later.
I got much later, because after college I went to Himalayas for 4 years. I was there
Right.
only one with Lagauti, and you know, no nothing, no money. I stayed in the Himalayas, and then when I came back, I joined back, you know, advertising agency. Then I had some money. Then I bought my first camera.
Ah. So it's been a long and tough journey,
Yes.
right? In many
Tough, I
ways.
don't know, because when you're doing that, you don't think
That time
it's.
you're not thinking it's
Yeah,
tough. But
exactly,
now,
exactly.
when you see the young generation, everybody with the phone camera, taking so many pictures, that story seems like a struggle, and you have to really believe in your
Each
journey.
shot
And
you're taking, you have to be 100% sure.
imagine you get only 3 photographs to take in the entire,
Yeah,
and you topped that. So
yeah,
that is an amazing story of success. Wonderful. So tell us a little bit about your journey. As let us look at first in the advertising world. How did that sort of expose you to photography? What were the moments and the, what do you call it, milestones that you would sort of, you know, make it as they stand out in your life?
yeah. You see, I've started very early. I'm in the 1980s. I
80s,
started
yeah.
my advertising career, and there were not very many photographers then. So I used to, you know, conceive the idea and all that. There is, unfortunately, there's one very famous photographer called Prabhuda Das Gupta. Is no more. He was a copywriter and I was art director. We teamed up actually as a team. We used to work. That time there was no team actually. There was, you had to work with anybody and everybody. But we made a team and we made a deal that we'll not leave this team and we'll work together. So because we used to interact very well. So he had a camera, and we started actually. I started designing my campaigns and all that, and then I would go out to look for photographers. You know, the client will approve it. I used to scribble. Those days, I used to scribble each and everything, detail, write, you know, how I'll do this, take this still photography, detail note, conceptual note at present to the client, and client couldn't say no, seeing that so much have gone into it. Maybe he knows his job, you know, obviously. So when you go to a photographer, and that photographer is industrial photographer, and there were no fashion photographer.
Right.
Okay, so human photography used to happen in advertising. Very few people were there, especially in Delhi. Okay, so I would go there and find that they are clicking at the wrong moment. And as an art director, I can see that because I'm a visual person. And to give you one example, for Nestle, I was doing one campaign, and P.T. Usha had got, you know, her the what you call Olympic medal.
Olympic
And
medal,
she had come back, and we had signed up with her.
Right.
And I wanted her to run for a certain campaign where I needed her movement. So I hired this photographer, and who used to charge 3,000 rupees a day those days, when my salary was only less than 1,000 rupees per month. And I go there, and he places his big camera, and he tells, I said, this is how I want, I show the layout, I do the scribble and the movement and everything. He tells on the track, he tells PT, freeze, and then he clicks.
Oh,
So I said, this is not done. I mean, I want that movement,
Yeah.
you know, the whole emotion running, that, you know, the muscles and the leg muscles and everything, I wanted them out, and it's not happening. Anyways, I mean, he was most expensive photographer, and client had recommended and all that. So anyways, so he came back, I was not satisfied. Then I decided that, you know, I told Prabhupada, you have a camera. And he didn't have his camera, his father-in-law's camera, he had borrowed from him. Said, between both of us, we have one camera, 2 lenses. Okay, let's start doing our own photography. First campaign we did together, and, you know, it won an award. So that encouraged us,
Yeah.
you know. So I would say that is how my journey from advertising to photography, because I would find that what emotion I want, mother and daughter, you know, for baby milk, mother and daughter, we used to create our own lights, you know, on the rooftop. We used to put dhoti and, you know, let the light filter in,
So you
and
get
then
that warm
create and
tone,
put a bed sheet in the background, and flowery bed sheet which will become totally out of focus, and take a picture, and won award, you know. Because that emotion we could capture.
Right,
But when I'd go to another photographer, fashion photographer, highly paid photographer, where I won't get the emotion.
Right.
So because I knew what I want.
you know the story behind it.
Yeah, exactly,
in many
exactly.
ways. And you, like, for example, you told me that whole Maggie campaign also,
Yeah,
the
yeah.
Maggie product is something that you are behind.
No, as a designer,
as a
actually,
designer,
as a
yeah.
designer, that came onto my lap. I was working for Clarion those days, and Clarion got this new client called Maggie, and they were launching Maggie, what you call 2-minute noodles, and also Maggie chicken soup cubes
yeah.
and all that. So they one day, the you know, the head of that agency brought one bottle of jar of Maggie noodles, and I mean raw noodles, and one jar of this thing. Said, you have to do the packaging for this.
Okay.
So I said, okay, no problem. So I did what and how much weight of it will go and everything. There's a long tedious process though, but I did 9 designs, scribble again. They approved 3 of them. Then we made dummies of it, and then it went to Vive for Switzerland for approval. One packaging was selected by them, and then you know, there's no looking back. All over I see,
Yeah.
within 2
Now-
3 months I see all over the Maggie.
And so it's something that has lived into the millennium also now. Even the youngsters have Maggie, and
Yeah,
it is so much part of our life,
yeah, exactly.
you know, in that sense.
Exactly.
But going from this very everyday you know, process
Yeah.
of working with products, with models, with brands, to something which is totally out there, wildlife. How did that happen, that connection? Because most people who are city bred, they don't really step out of the city. They like to be there. They get used to their city life. But to go out there in the wild, like you said, you were in the Himalayas.
Yeah.
You know, with very little funding. And, you know, sort of
No funding.
Okay, no funding. I remain corrected. But how did you sort of bring those two disparate worlds together? And how did you begin your journey as a wildlife photographer?
You know, once in Paris, I was doing an exhibition, and it was my big elephants were there all over, and this journalist had obviously done some homework about me, and then she asked me, she was asking me many questions, and like you were asking, so she was also asking many questions, and one of the questions was, she said, one last question is that, you know, you have shown so many, you know, big, huge elephants who are wild, who are very, you know, aggressive, and which was not correct. I corrected it later on. They were not very aggressive, but giants. And at the same time, uh, uh, I know that you are doing what you call fashion photography, and where every person you take pictures of are very lean and thin and tall and all that, and here bulky elephants. How do you correlate both? There's such a vast difference.
Right.
So I said simply that the the models I shoot, who are beautiful from outside but very wild from inside, and the elephants I shoot, they are very wild from outside and beautiful from inside, because I have, while shooting, I had to know their psychology. I have actually put enough time with them, basically.
Yeah.
So I have seen how they are family connected, they are so soft in their heart and all that. Until and unless you provoke them, they will not do anything to you. But on the other side, the fashion models I shoot, they whole day they are working. If 6 o'clock is the call time, they will be there at 6, and they'll be working whole day. At night they'll party again. At 6 o'clock or 8 o'clock they are back there. They will dance whole night. So they are actually, they look very what you call beautiful and this thing from outside, but they are wild from inside, which is good. The energy, I'm not saying in a
Not
wrong
saying
manner,
in a
but
judgmental way. Yeah, right. That's so true. Yeah. And now coming to your book also, the title of which is very playful and naughty, where you talk about the Asian nude looking for the, but actually it is about elephants. When you hear the Asian nude, first thing you think that, oh, he's a specialist in nude photography, which is also an art form. I didn't react to it in a judgmental way, because I have seen nudes being in art school from live nudes also. So for me, nude is not a word which I react to. But then I saw this beautiful, gentle picture of this elephant with the lovely eyes, and that zoomed in, you had taken a close shot. So I was like, oh, this is such a lovely idea, this idea that not a stitch of clothes on these giants. Now tell me about how you came to the title, and why elephants?
See, two things are involved over here. I have an advertising background, so I used to write headlines also. Being an art director, photographer, I used to write lines also. So
Right.
first of all, I saw it. It was my first exhibition, and I wanted to, say it such a manner that a lot of people get attracted towards it. Okay, so I made a beautiful. Nowadays, nobody makes them anymore. I had a big invitation card, where three-folded invitation card. So first, you see only the landscape of a jungle, where lights are filtering through, and you have sal trees all around, and there's a path. Okay, and it said, in search of Asian nudes. When you open, you see wild elephants, and it said, exhibition of elephants without a stitch. Now what happened, how I got that idea was, I went to, before the exhibition, I went to the PCCF, who was the head of, that time was the head of all wildlife in India. So I went, somebody gave me his reference, I went to him. Suppose the ministry would like to collaborate, because you're looking fund from here and there and all that. So I met him, so he saw my work, he says, certainly we like to involve ourselves, but why don't you also include elephants which are there, who are domesticated elephants. Okay. So the idea I didn't like. So I thought, if I say exhibition of an elephant, then people will think that elephant of domesticated elephants also, because all over Southeast Asia you'll find domesticated elephants.
Yeah.
So I would have segregated them altogether. So in search of Asian nudes, and then what you call elephants without a stitch. Now I made a thick booklet for the exhibition, which I think I have got in my car, which is like this big, thick. Nobody makes them anymore, And because I was doing a lot of advertising photography, and I was shooting a lot of models, and I also shooting nudes at the same time. So I'm various genre of work I was doing. So a lot of friends told me that, you know, in the exhibition you also should add one section of your exhibition should have these nudes, beautiful nudes, you know. First, I didn't like the idea, but a lot of people told me, "Yeah, why don't you do it?" So that catalog had there were no Asian nudes in the jungle. Then you see elephants, tigers, another thing. Then another portion, half portion, you see a beautiful nude and Asian nudes in the urban jungle. So Asian nudes in the jungle and Asian nudes in the urban jungle. That was my concept over there, you know.
Right, right.
So from there, this idea of Asian nudes came basically.
Right. So we're looking forward
And
to
I
seeing
was
that
sorry,
book.
I was only
yeah.
shooting Asian elephants, and I was not African elephants because I had some African elephants also.
Okay.
So therefore, I wanted to stick to Asian, and models also I showed are all Asian.
So we'll have a look at that book. I'm sure that we'll get some close-ups from there, and we'll definitely see that.